So I hope you can see me and you can hear me. And you can also see the screen that my colleague Kennedy is sharing. Let me start with a warm welcome and hello. It's a pleasure to have you all join us for this session, where we want to share with you how not only the accounting of account receivables can be uplifted, but the whole data quality and data flow can be improved using the right tool and setup. Let me first introduce myself and tell you why we have decided to organize this webinar. My name is Rudolf and I'm partner at Finatics. As business consulting company, we are supporting our clients on various challenges in accounting, controlling, logistics, and finance systems. We have organized this webinar because we have recognized recurring pattern in the challenges our clients face when it comes to account receivables. Broadly, this can be distilled into three pivotal areas. First is the efficiency. So how to make the account receivable process to be lean and agile, ensuring it's manageable even once operations scale up. Secondly, the time management, meaning how to minimize the time sunk into manual data entry, which we both know is a bottleneck and also the source of potential error. And finally, optimization through automation, which is not only about how to automate the individual task, but how to strategically adopt automation to multiply the capabilities and gain deeper insights. Let me tell you what we have really observed at one of our clients. During the recent growth in e-commerce industry, and also driven by increasing numbers of sales channels, marketplaces, or various payment providers, the complexity and the time client needed to process the incoming payments started to multiply. The process setup and systems in place were good enough for client a couple years back when the sales were concentrated into a couple of platforms, but with each step forward from business side, the manual hassle done by accountants worsened. The time spent for rather simple accounting work of clearing accounting open items with incoming payments was always longer, and it made monthly or even year-end closing to be a huge challenge for the team from its capacity and timing perspective. Although the client worked with new ERP and some integrations were done, or at least intended to be done, unfortunately, the needs of account receivables teams are not always in focus or a priority of leadership or IT team. Therefore, the support provided to the account receivables teams was just some couple of workarounds. The process we observed at the client was something like this. The accountants were specialized for marketplaces because each marketplace is providing the data in different format, layout, periodicity with different attributes. The accountants were keeping the knowledge on how to process the data received and put them into their ERP system in their heads and their hands. Each accountant was working with her or his own Excel or VBA macro to massage the data to fit the ERP. Some ETL tools came to play. However, they were again implemented by best of IT practice, not focusing on best of accounting practice. To get even the overview on what was already done and which accountant will be working on what marketplace or settlement file, spreadsheet trackings or various to-do lists were in place. The Excel, Asana, Jira, MS Planner, Monday were all used at the same time for different purposes. As additional manpower, even some of our account consultants were engaged during the high season and to perform some cleanup activities of unreconciled or unclear positions. All this led into the situation the data in ERP were in very different quality. Different tools, different persons. Maybe it was good enough to clear the balance sheet items, but when controlling was trying to make an overview which marketplaces was charging what fees, it became difficult to get such overview. For some information, only the text descriptions were being used, and indeed, there was a controller reading these posting entry descriptions previously added manually by accountant, and the controller was subsequently classifying these costs manually again. And that how the question came into our heads, how to get rid of the workarounds, how to move to no more manual tracking or individually adjusting the data received and match them directly to our ERP or reporting needs. What we did with the client was streamlining and harmonizing the inputs into one defined dataset already when receiving them and removing the individual work and input of accounting. All steps that accountants have been doing when performing the data monitoring or subsequently processing the inputs were integrated and orchestrated one after the another. We know that there are different structures of data being provided when working with Amazon, eBay, or Miracle, but as accountants, we also know that in the end, we are always trying to get some standard debit and credit entry with the usual attributes as cost center, sales order, customer, or similar. And this is how from this question we move to the idea of comps. Our in-house developed tool comps, short for components, as we want to compose and nicely orchestrated data flows, was created as a tool to support accounting with monitoring the sources of information for the new data, as Amazon, as eBay, as email, or as some shared folders. Then to support accounting with harmonizing this heterogeneous data into one structure, and subsequently to support with provisioning this already harmonized data for further processing into ERP, for controlling, for BI teams. This is how we were able to fast forward not only the settlement file processing itself for accounting, but even the reporting and controlling functions where these data are being used can benefit. As mentioned at the very beginning, it's not only about how to automate the task only, even the new opportunities were made possible for our client in area of advanced or forward-looking analytics. As you may think, this was possible before. Well, yes, but such analyses were never done before because the cost and effort spent was overreaching the benefits of the analysis by far. Now, to save you the efforts and costs implementing our tool, we are working on various connectors that are easy to be plugged into the tool, and your process can start. This can be used for both to get the input into the comps as some generally used marketplaces, as you can see, or provide the output from comps into your ERP or into your reporting tools. Let us show you what we mean by that. Comps is a simple software run on cloud that you can access via browser. You do not need your IT to start using it. When you log in, you can see some first information and graphs, which you can adjust based on your needs. They can provide various pieces of information and key performance indicators you are interested in. These KPIs can help also to indicate if the data from your marketplaces is being processed correctly, or if there are any exception that you need to investigate deeper. Before we start, let's first check the data model and its dimension. We have already identified various dimensions that we expect you will be receiving and processing, from simple invoice number through the sales amount and all possible fees as shipping, payment, sales provision, refunds, etc. This data model is, of course, adjustable for you. If you don't want all of these dimensions, remove them or add dimensions you need. If you are fine with this setup, let's go ahead and add a source. As already mentioned, to save you implementation effort, we have created the connectors that you can use, and their use is really simple. As you can see, in my demo version, I have one eBay account already activated. To activate the connector, the only thing you need to provide are the login data. Behind this connector, the specific query to eBay, which will get the data of your invoice payment, is already created. Here, you can schedule how often I want comms to check if new data in eBay are really available. Or you can run connector manually with the play button. I'm not doing it now to save you time, but let me show you the data we already received. If you want to see the data that were provided by eBay previously, we can check them in the log function. Here you can select and download the file if needed. To add additional marketplaces, you can select the connectors, log in, and start using them. If you don't see your connector available yet, let us know and we can add it for you. Of course, we have option to upload the data from Excel or CSV file manually. Here I can simply drag the file into the comms. For the very first time, we would need to define the mapping between our file and the data model. But once this is done, the comms will recognize the pattern and upload the file manually by itself into our database. We hope you will not use the manual upload very often, but you will connect the email address or folders where these files are being provided and let comms monitor these locations upload data by itself. Now, let me show you how you push the data from comms into your ERP or other sources. For that, the export functions are there, where you can export the data as they are currently stored in our database. You can export the variant of the data, which are already configured as accounting entries that you can directly upload into your ERP. Or again, use one of the connectors that will push the data from comms into your target system. I mentioned already that we know the usual attributes that ERP or accounting system need: account, cost center, customer number, etc. All these data are stored in comms, either as part of the export definition or as part of a general master data for the marketplaces I want to set up. So for this demonstration, if I want simply to download Excel with all my accounting entries and load them into SAP, I can get the file here. Again, I hope you will not take the option with connector, so you don't need to do it manually as I'm just doing right now. And this is comms. So what you hopefully could observe was that with comms, we can easily automate the data gathering from various sources. That it's easy because we can simply use the connectors that are available for both import and export of the data. That the connectors are already built up so that the processing of the data is not done by individual user, but the logic, it's already defined within the connectors and comms tool itself. This secures high standardization of the process and the data quality, and therefore it does not save the time, but it really improves the process and our data. Therefore, comms can be one solution for many AR sub-processes. It's not only another software, it's really the software built on the needs of finance department. And I hope you could also see that it's user-friendly, and your IT will be needed really only in certain circumstances. Now, of course, although the areas of the areas that we want to cover in AR accounting are similar, but each client has some specific processes or specific needs to consider. Therefore, in case you would like to discuss if comms could be the solution for you, we can connect you to one of our experts. In our accounting practice, we have colleagues that are skilled and experienced in various topics. If you want to speak about the BI and data warehousing, or if the SAP and ERP integration is more relevant for you, or if you want to know more about the connectors and the tools itself, feel free to reach out to us. And of course, if you want to chat with me about your accounting process, I'm also here for you. That's the end of our seminar. I'm very happy that I had this opportunity to tell you our story, how from clients' challenges, the idea of comms came to exist. If you feel curious, this is what we wanted. Feel free to contact us anytime. Before I say final goodbye, let me check if we have some questions from you already now. In chat, we have a question if I can give another example where comms can be used, or is it only for e-commerce industry? What you saw right now, let me answer that. This is a very good question. What you saw right now was, of course, already pre-customized for e-commerce industry. But comms as a tool can be used and is indeed being used by, as of now, two other industries. One is the real estate development, where especially the Excel upload function is being used very commonly. The real estate development works in with calculations. Yeah? For each project, there is a calculation, and this calculation, which is usually an Excel file, is being regularly updated for the new insights. So what the client wanted us to do is to make them the upload tool where we can load these Excel files into the database so that he can then subsequently use it in his BI tool and compare the different versions of the calculations or compare the projects against one to the another. Easily to be done in BI tool, very complicated to be done in Excel. The other idea where comms is now being used is as an enhancement to the classical document management system for supplier invoices. Similarly, like for e-commerce, there is supplier invoice, but there is subsequently delivered additional evidence, which is much more detailed as what we see on the invoice and what accounting is currently processing. This additional information is very important information, again, for project planning or project controller. So what comms does, it converts this additional information, which is already available and provided by supplier, into the entries where we combine the accounting information from supplier invoice with this information, and controlling can work with that. So there are really various ideas how comms can be used. And if we understand your business and your process, we can bring it there that it really fits your process perfectly. There are no more questions. So in that case, oh, sorry, one more question. Our AR process is very complex. Can your tool handle this? I mentioned already during the webinar that we know that each client or each process has some additional needs. I used to tell that our accounting processes, and I hope I will not touch anyone, our accounting processes are not complicated. What is complicated is building car or making bridges. And yet you see that's possible. And why is that all possible? Is because the process of making car is nicely divided into smaller, manageable sub-processes. And this is what we want to do. We don't want to bring all together and completely change your process from one day to the another. But if you understand why you think your AR process is very, very complex, and with the knowledge of our team, we can divide it into the smaller, manageable sub-processes, which will be transparent for you, which we will have a full understanding of them. We can bring also very complex processes to be supported by comms. I hope I answered both questions. Well, then, thank you very much for your attention. Wish you have a nice day and happy accounting. Kenneth, will you take over?
Yes, thank you very much, Udo. Also from me, thank you all for attending. I think, yeah, we don't have any questions anymore as far as I can see. So I would close the webinar here. In case you have any questions, feel free to contact us or visit our website.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.